Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of We Should Have Recorded That with Phil and.
Adam.
Hey, Adam, how are you?
Hi, Phil. I'm good. Are you okay?
I'm all right. I'm a little tired, but it's all right.
Yes, we're both so tired. Oh,
Yeah.
dear audience, if you think I am energetic, then I am a good actor. I am faking it until I become it.
Uh,
And if you think that I'm tired, then you would be right.
you're reading the room, but
Yes. Well, I'm worried about you though, Phil, because
you
you
worried about
really
me?
sounded. Oh, I mean, you were like, you're like, how are you, Adam?
I think
Good.
as I've kind of listened back, I guess I need to be more intentional about having the energy at the beginning. 'Cause I think by the time we start talking, you know, I find it somewhere.
Yes.
So
You find it. Yes.
yeah, so I just need to have it at the beginning, you know. So
I love it. Yes.
so yeah, if you are enjoying our conversations, please share it on YouTube and on find us on Instagram and Facebook. And I wanted to say
B agrees.
she agrees. I hear her
You
agreeing.
can you can hear her. She agrees with you. Should now. Everyone should now.
Go
Yes.
like
Go
and
out.
subscribe. Yes. Go like and subscribe. Go do things. Go find something to do. Okay. Uh
Yes. Do the
yeah.
thing.
Go do the things that you should do in life. But I wanted to also say we've you if you're listening, you probably have heard, at least in the past two episodes, the new in and out music that we have, and I hope you're liking it. It's something that I kind of came up with on my guitar. I don't have my guitar in the picture with me today, but yeah, I was just practicing, and so I just wanted to mention that is a kind of a original, originally recorded in and out music. So hope you're enjoying that.
Oh well.
Yeah. So Adam, what are we talking about today?
Well, this is, I will tell our audience, but
Uh
not
huh.
before I give you credit for the idea.
Okay.
We're going to talk a little bit about who we think our
Mhm.
audience is.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, Phil, who do you think our audience is?
Mm. You know, I hold on one second. I just lost my camera.
I can't see you anymore.
And yeah, my camera is gone. Just as I was about to answer that question, it probably timed out.
Oh no.
But no, but I think we're good. It just that the I'm using my phone, and so those 30 minutes, I had it on the highest um setting before the screen
Oh
will
yeah.
lock, and so
Ah,
that's
yes, yes,
been
I see. I gotcha.
anyway. So yeah, now you've seen the things in my room I didn't intend for you to see, but but anyway, yeah. So I think who do I think our audience is? Who do I? Well, first, let me say this before I answer the question. I want to give some credit to someone who asked me this question. Um, Mr. David King. He asked me this question a while ago when he was listening to the podcast. He's like, who do you think you're talking to? Who do you want your audience to be? And so I wanted to give him credit because as we were having the conversation last week, I thought about that again. Like the things we're talking about. Who is listening? So who do I think? Who would I like? I would say who do I like? Who would I like our audience to be? People who enjoy having conversations.
Okay, so now we're being aspirational. Who do we want our audience
Okay.
to be?
So maybe all right. So let's do the okay. Let's do the first thing. Who do I think our audience is? I don't know. That's what I'm gonna
Well,
say.
okay, let's think about the people who we know do listen,
Right,
at least occasionally, to the
right.
podcast.
Okay, so we know we have Michelle Savaggio, a very,
Michelle
eh,
Savaggio. Okay,
very
so
intelligent
let's.
educator.
Oh yes, exactly. So let's extrapolate. If there are more Michelle Salvaggios out there, if
Mm-hmm.
only there were
Right.
multiple
Mm-hmm.
Michelles, right? If only everyone could be more like Michelle Salvaggio.
Right.
Um, we have, yes, as you said, highly intelligent educators,
Mm-hmm.
also a believer.
Yes.
Um, so basically, we're just talking about ourselves. We're talking to ourselves. Uh, at least we're talking to you, Phil. I don't know if I could. I am a teacher and I am a believer. I can't claim the highly intelligent part.
Yo, come on, come on. You
So,
being
uh,
modest.
so the but I mean, I do think yes, that is other people like us,
Mm-hmm.
Christians
Mm-hmm.
who are also teachers,
Mm-hmm.
um,
People who
who are also
think,
thoughtful,
thinkers. Yes, thoughtful.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
those are, I think those that's probably the core of our audience, and those are the things we tend to talk about, right? Like we talk a lot
Yeah.
about a lot of teachery stuff, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Christiany
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so
But
that
but
makes
do you
sense.
do you think? I mean, my family has listened. Do you think you have to be? You know, I guess you would have to be at least one of the three. You don't have to be all three to appreciate our
Mm.
podcast. Do you? What do you
Oh,
think?
right. I don't want to exclude anyone.
Uh
Um,
huh.
I I know for sure that no one in my family listens to the podcast. Uh, in the I don't in their defense though, they just don't listen to podcasts.
Okay. Okay. Uh huh.
This
Uh
is
huh.
so. This is. I don't think that they necessarily would hate our content. They just
Okay.
like they don't even listen to podcasts.
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
they're
Mm-hmm.
allowed not to listen to us as long as they're not listening to anyone
Anybody.
else.
So as far as
Right?
you know, as
It's like
far as you know,
it's
they're
like
not
when
listening to
someone
us.
breaks up for you and someone breaks up with you and you're like
Uh
okay
huh.
with it until you find out that they're dating someone else.
Yeah, I definitely understand that feeling. Oh
um,
man.
okay, but your family regularly listens?
So they're probably more sporadic listeners in that,
Hmm.
and I should be honest. It probably when it was more novel, they probably listened. So I'm not gonna hold them to that they may still be listening, you know. But I when one of my Wendy's friend and my cousin came down, she was listening. She said she was listening to some of the episodes. And I know that there are other people, of course, at my church, they're also, Christians. And, yeah, Christians and thinking people who are probably checking this out. So,
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's good. I there are a couple of students of mine
uh
who
huh.
listen to the podcast.
Oh, really? Okay.
So again, though, that's uh, thinking people, or at least people I'm trying to get to think.
Uh huh.
Uh,
Uh huh.
musicians,
Mm hmm.
future teachers,
Yeah.
Christians.
They're
Yeah.
checking all the boxes.
Okay, we're
Okay.
I think we're hitting a niche. You know, um, we do have. I haven't asked his permission to share his name in this context, so I won't do it.
Mm
But
hmm.
we do have a friend of mine who is not a believer who listens
Okay.
to us regularly,
Okay.
um, and he is a deeply thoughtful person,
Mm hmm.
and he's not a teacher.
Wow.
He's a
Okay.
deeply thoughtful person, but not a teacher,
Uh huh.
not a believer. Um, but I think interested in. I mean, he's a very cool guy. he's interested in people. He's a keen listener.
Mm-hmm.
He is, and he's uh, so open-minded.
Mm.
He's the kind of person who, when we talk about teachery stuff,
Mm-hmm.
probably can draw transfers to his own line of work.
Mm.
And
Okay.
when uh, we talk about Christiany stuff, he's probably just fascinated to hear how
Mm-hmm.
Christians think about some things. So
Mm-hmm.
um, he's probably an outlier in our audience, but
Mm-hmm.
I am so happy whenever he tells me that he's listened to an episode of WSRTwPA.
Well, that's very cool. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that too. You know what? Another adjective or adverb, or however we want to say it, open minded. I
Yeah,
hope you know, that's something I aspire to be more of. I want to be more open minded, um, and I hope I hope we are, um, that's something that comes across in our podcast. You know, what do you think about that?
yes. Oh, I mean, I think, oh, everyone thinks that they're reasonable, right? Is there anyone who's like, I'm going to tell you my opinion on this, and I know I'm totally unreasonable?
Uh
Everyone
huh.
thinks they're reasonable.
Right.
I really do. I want to believe about myself that presented with compelling arguments, I would change my mind on any
Mm-hmm.
number of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do feel like, yes, I want to give our audience credit. If they're still listening to us 2 years in to this endeavor, I think that, yeah, they are the kind of person who remains open minded and is willing to hear people's thoughts,
Uh
often
huh.
our thoughts
You're
on
right.
sundry and various issues.
Yeah. I think if you've stuck with us, I think so. I pulled up, I took a snapshot of our actual analytics, and we're not even going to talk about like really the audience size. I just want to look at who. I mean, I guess that's part of it. You know, I think since we took a break, our audience has dropped a little bit. People, maybe I need to step up the social media game. We need to let people know we're here.
I
We're
think people
still
like
here.
consistency, right? Yeah. And when we took our summer hiatus,
uh
you know what though? Anyone who's listening to this, I'm not going to apologize for that summer hiatus. I mean, I was
Me
like,
either.
I was never home to begin with, and when you're like on top of El Capitan in Yosemite National Park, the last thing you want to do is
Uh
log in on Zoom to record a podcast. So I'm not gonna apologize for changing my priorities a little bit during the summer.
huh. Yeah. Well, I mean, we are of a different generation. There may, some people younger than us. Probably that would have been why they went to the top of of
Mm-hmm,
that peak,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
so that they could live
Oh,
stream. But it,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I posted a lot of pictures on my Instagram,
uh huh,
but that
uh huh.
was not the motivation.
Right, right, right. But we, thinking about it, yeah, I'm not gonna apologize either. I was doing it. We have a very beautiful baby that you all got to see, and um, we're in our new home. I was doing a lot over the summer, so,
Yes, yes,
so
yes, yes.
yeah, but we are back, and so yeah, come back to us, and let's have more conversations. So, most of our listeners are Apple Podcast listeners. About 47%, it says. Um, and there's a smaller. Let me see. What do I have? About 17% on Spotify. Most of our listeners are in the U.S. We
Makes sense.
have,
Okay, so
of course,
Americans.
Americans,
Mhm.
U.S. citizens. We, Canada
Although we
is
don't
pretty
ask their
high.
immigration status.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to out you, but I remember I remember taking a Spanish class in at Roberts, and the Spanish teacher he made a point of it one day just to say that if you're coming from the USA, you're like you are an American, but if I'm in Mexico, I'm an American too, and a
Hmm.
Canadian is an American, and so like that's what I'm trying to be more specific about
Yeah.
being in the U.S. But anyway, um, yeah, and then looking at it, like we are at one point we were like leaning more towards like females, but like I think now we have a higher percentage of male listeners and a higher percentage of young people are listening to us. Like that's where our main
Wow. I didn't even know that we could be
listenership
so
come from.
granular with our analytics.
Yeah, it really is. I'm guessing if you all the information you put in your in your whatever your profiles, it can pull it. But yeah, so that is our audience. So we're kind of like I mean it's and I should say what it's like we're like 50%, 58% male, 42% female. But anyway, so I went down that rabbit trail for a little while just to say those are the people we're speaking to, are kind of
Hmm.
young people, people in the U.S. Maybe slightly more men than women. Um, so those are the facts. Like now, do you think we should be a little aspirational? What do you think?
Let's talk about who we want our audience to be. I just want to
Uh
put a
huh.
before we go down that path. I do want to just put in a little plug for our current audience. Have we described you? Did we leave you out?
Yes.
Are you,
Uh huh.
a not not thoughtful person who's listening to us and you want to be
Okay.
represented? All right. Well, let us know. Send us a voice comment, or
Yes.
have we left you out another way? Are you like, hey, this is me, and I think other people like me in my demographic or characteristics,
Mm-hmm.
they're
Mm-hmm.
listening to you. So, yeah, just let us know. We'd love to hear from you. But yes, now talking about our the audience we would like to build. First of all, I will just say to our current audience, we want you, right, Phil?
Yeah, we want to keep you. Okay.
Like, I don't want to.
Yes, we
I don't
want
want
to
to be like
keep you.
I
Uh huh.
feel like this is not an instance where like when I see a really nice car on the street, I know that I would have to trade mine in order to get that car and then upgrade to the new
Mm-hmm.
car. No, no, no. We
Mm-hmm.
already have the best car in our present audience. We're not gonna trade
Mm-hmm.
in anyone.
Mm-hmm. Of
We're just
course.
gonna add to our collection.
Yes. We're gonna build a bigger
Yes.
garage.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
I just want to put that out there so that no one who is actually listening to this right now is like, this feels that
Mm-hmm.
we are
Right. We're trying to
not
abandon. Yes.
valuing them highly enough.
Right. We there's a term called our day ones, and we're gonna be loyal to our day ones. Michelle is always gonna be our number one fan. So
That's
yeah, right here, right here. Mm-hmm.
so. Okay. Who do we want? Um. All right. Well, I do feel like once you and I are both a month into school and can really start to think about our podcast a little bit more, hopefully the quality will. No, that's not even the way I want to put it. I think our quality is dependent on how much energy we have on recording day. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think,
I will. Yeah, we've been talking about that. Yeah.
yeah, we might even switch our recording time to the morning because we're so tired at night. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I do think um, we will have more structure. coming up
Mm-hmm.
than the past few beginning of school episodes have had, because the past few beginning of school episodes we've just been like, uh,
Let's do it.
that like weariness at the end of the day. Um, and so when our episodes are more structured, I would like more thoughtful people to listen to us.
That's fine. That's a great. We just want more thoughtful people. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I would, I just want our audience to grow with people who enjoy us having conversations that, and hopefully people will actually interact with us, especially those who have been listening. Like, we would love to hear your thoughts, even if you're just like, both of you should shut up. And so then maybe you should come on and talk, and we'll let you talk.
Oh,
If you want to come.
yes. I mean, our platform is so huge. Who wouldn't want
Right,
to
of
come on?
course.
I mean, I'm surprised that the president's office hasn't called us and asked
Right.
for the president to be able to defend himself.
Yes, he definitely, yeah, he could use the help right now.
I mean,
But
is there
if I
really?
mean,
There's no podcast quite as professional as one that has my barking dog on in the background.
but there are. I mean, nowadays, most of podcasts and TV and radio programs have barking dogs because most people are still at home. So I don't think we're in bad company.
Yes,
You know, I B is very, very. I think you're at home when you hear B barking.
and it's a lovely bark. Um,
It's-
so yeah, I mean, I think in terms of
maybe I should narrow the question. So like in maybe our who do we want our audience to be as it relates to interest, because like that's how that's how
mm,
things are mainly categorized, like if you
right,
want to hear R&B music, or whatever.
yes,
So like,
yes.
do you
Well, if you
think
if you want to hear
again?
R&B music, you should definitely listen to our podcast.
Right, because that's what we
Well,
have
so we've
tons of that.
touched on this already, right? We like the real
Mm-hmm.
sweet spot, like our core listener, our core audience would be people like us, right? Like Christians or music educators.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
talk about current events nearly every week. It's usually not the focal point, but we talk about current events. And so, like,
No.
politically moderate, I think, is something that would describe us, like maybe like slightly right of center. Um, like, so that's our sweet spot, right? People like us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, on
Mm-hmm.
the one hand, that can be really like if we're just talking into the echo chamber of other people like us, it's always nice to have some confirmation, even if it's confirmation bias,
Right.
right? Um,
Uh-huh.
so, of course, more Christian music educators who are thoughtful. But it would be nice to have some more diversity among our audience. Um, like I'm thinking of my friend who I described earlier, who's not a believer, not a musician, not a
Mm-hmm.
teacher, um, but is a thoughtful person. I would love um, for this podcast to be a place where people who are curious about any of those elements of who you and I are, Phil, to be able to come and uh, be like, oh, they're discussing Christianity this week. I'm so curious how Christians would think about that. Oh, they're discussing education this week. Um, I'm not a music teacher, but I am a biology teacher. I wonder what they might have to offer me. Uh, oh, I am a musician and I don't really think about teaching very much because I'm a performer, but I would love to listen to this conversation. It would be nice to have some more diversity of people interested in, one of
Hmm.
the aspects of the things we tend to concentrate on.
Yeah, I think again going back to the title and the thought behind at least me saying let's record this. I want to hear more of other people, who other people are. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why I really hope maybe we can have some of the people back on that we've had on, because there's so much more
Hmm.
conversation
Oh,
that we could
yes.
have.
More
And so if
conversations
you
that
are
we should record.
yes, yes. So for me, like, I think if you're interested in mainly the topics that music education, and how that intersects with our faith and among other things. But hearing, like those other voices, because I think that's one of the things that's kind of missing today too.
Mm.
Like, and as we think about, I remember being in, helping working for the administration office, the admission office
Yeah.
at Roberts,
Uh-huh.
and talking to prospective students about the fact that, you're looking at, we would be there talking to them, and I'm like, you're looking at 4 or 5 different people, and all of us, in some ways, are experiencing our faith in 5 different ways, and and
Yes.
so, like,
Yes.
you know like taking that into consideration and hearing those different perspectives. So yeah, that will be more of those people who are interested in sharing. Because again, that's the other part. Interested in sharing.
Right. Right.
So yeah,
Well, have we covered this topic
I
sufficiently?
think we have. I think we have. I think we have. I don't think I'm going to change our designation when people are looking for us, because I think right now we're like, I have it as leisure. I guess that kind of describes, right. This is
Our
this we're not doing
designation,
is you don't have to
like
do.
in the podcast, is leisure.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is like hopefully kind of light listening. I guess. I don't. What do you think? What do you think we should have our designation as? I'll ask that question on air
Um,
as we're recording.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that. I just love that the current designation is leisure.
I think it is. I can check it again, but yeah, I think that's what I said as, because I'm like, what do we, like, we don't it's not like we're every week talking about music education,
Right. That's
or every
because we're
week.
sort of an all kinds of topics podcast.
Right.
That's
Exactly. Exactly.
true. I don't even know what we would. Oh, this is hard.
Yes, I don't want to break your brain, or have our listeners have dead air, because we're thinking about what we're gonna title the podcast, or what we're gonna designate the podcast as. But that's a thought. If you have a suggestion, how should we categorize ourselves, or maybe should
Yeah,
we not?
I want to
I
hear it.
don't know.
Yeah.
Hmm. What does the audience think? So yeah, so hopefully, audience, you're enjoying us talking about you and who we think you are. And again, let us know if we got that
Yeah.
all wrong. Let us know. So let's get into our last segment, current events. Uh, do you have a current event you want to share, or should I go first?
Uh, you go first.
Okay, I'm gonna share 2 quick ones, really quick. Well, one light and quick one, and maybe one a little heavier. Our baby daughter Anais, she's doing so much. This week, she's just started, like, trying to hold things with her hand. She's like holding it like this. She's
Mm,
holding things like this. And so I kind of move her thumb over to help her a little bit. But so just watching her grow, it's amazing. It's amazing to do. The
yeah.
second thing I wanted to share, really quick. was there's an actor, his or is an actor. His name is Michael K. Williams, and he died. Was it Sunday? Or I think it was last Sunday. And great African American actor. And just thinking about some of the roles I watched him play, like the guy was he really embodied the characters he played. And listen to people talk about him. He was very involved in New York where he grew up, trying to better the community. And so like it was, I think he was 54. And so it's like someone who died too soon, you know. And so in some ways it's just like, man, he seemed like he had so much more life to live, but then it's also like he lived in a great example of someone who cared about his community. So, that's I want to look him up. He has some great interviews as he talks about his beginnings and his struggles, and I think he's a very interesting person. So Michael K. Williams. Yeah.
Awesome.
What about
my
you?
current event is the new vaccine mandate from OSHA
Mm-hmm.
for employers over 100 employees. And I honestly don't know what to think of it. Everyone who has listened to our podcast knows that I am 100% pro-vaccine. I also understand where the Biden administration is coming from. I mean, people are dying. People are dying right now. This Delta surge is as bad as it's been at any point in the pandemic. We have the solution. They've begged and controlled and educated and convinced and pleaded, and it hasn't been working. So I understand where they're coming from. I feel like probably most presidential administrations in their shoes would do the same thing. But I am uncomfortable. Just my gut instinct is uncomfortable with such a broad-ranging mandate. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I mean, in my ideal world, just people would get vaccinated of their own accord, right? They wouldn't need a mandate to do it. We could have 92% of the country vaccinated, and we really would not be in this situation we're in right now if that were the case. I'm just, there we are. Politically moderate Adam is like, this is a good thing, but I don't know if it's the right thing. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, and I think that back to our audience, like I think that I hope, and maybe I shouldn't say I hope, but I think like maybe thinking people, you say yes, this is a good thing, but do we want to go this far right now? Yeah. And so I definitely agree with you. I want to say one last descriptor that I would probably add is just people who want to be free, and I think even now, like freedom could be getting vaccinated, but being free to think. And we could say this is good, but I don't know if that's the right way to do it. We could definitely say that. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we've covered tonight's topic. Yes.
I think so. I think we have.
All right. Well, then, Phil and our dear audience, I will say bye for now.
Adios.